Welcome to Fans Fight Back on the Pitch Boxing app with myself, Martin Theobald, and with me a very distracted Rakeem Noble because he's waiting on the Arsenal result against Newcastle. How are you, Rakeem?
Tense times, but I'm good. Tense times, but it's all going well. Yourself?
All good, man. All good. Yeah, what a funny old week in boxing, as ever. So I'm going to crack straight. There's so many... Your connection's not the best, Rakeem, I'm going to be honest.
Hold up.
I'm struggling with you.
Is there ever such thing as a dull week in boxing? Do we ever have a quiet time in boxing? Do we ever have downtime?
Nah. And this week's just loads of smaller items that are logging up and they're outstanding. Like such shithousery all round. It's amazing. I almost don't know where to start, but I do know where to start. And it's not where you think I will. We're going to go to France for Bakole versus Yoka. They tried to rob the man. They tried to rob him blind in France.
94. He got dropped twice. He got dominated pretty much every round. Could you argue that was a more convincing battering than Mayweather-Canelo?
Yeah, because Mayweather never got dropped. Sorry, Canelo never got dropped twice. It was an absolute hammering by Bakole, and yet they nearly robbed him on the cards. It was unbelievable. And I know that whenever it happens over here, you get the judges going, or you get the fans saying, oh, no wonder nobody comes here because the judging. It happens everywhere. It happens everywhere.
Unfortunately, it's a worldwide thing. We heard about the Russians, we've heard about the Germans, we've heard about dodgy Texas state decisions. It happens in France. It happens in literally every country around the world. I don't think you can find one country where you can say, yeah, they're going to give you a fair shot of the dice no matter where you go. There's always going to be some kind of controversial. And even looking at the other scorecards, 94 was horrendous, but didn't he win like 96, 97 the other two? Isn't even that far-fetched for a fight that was dropped twice and battered in every round.
It's ridiculous. Poor old Martin Bakole. Like, thankfully he got away with the result, but yeah, you have to feel for the man. That was daft. By all accounts, daft. Speaking of daft, WBA dropping on us today about the light welterweight division.
Hey, I love it. Basically, what the WBA said is, forget the rankings, forget all of the point systems. We're gonna have whoever can cut the best X Factor WWE promo. You're gonna get that title shot. That's how we're deciding it now. Best promo wins.
This one is outrageous, and I love it. I absolutely love it. This is why we're in boxing, not for the fights, but for the stupidity. So they stripped Josh Taylor. They've never really said why they stripped him either. They just stripped him. I'm not necessarily against that. Like, given the outcome of the Josh Taylor-Jack Catterall fight, given that he keeps talking about he's going to go up in weight, cool, strip him, no problem. Might be good if you explained why. You've now got a vacant title, and so rather than picking out your number one and number two fighters, they've agreed the top 6 fighters are each going to put together a 15-minute presentation around why they should fight for the title.
Like I said, this is X Factor. You've done your singing. The judges are on the edge of it. Now you got to give your sub story as into why you should go through to the next round. This is what it is. 15-minute promo videos. Who can entertain us the most? That's going to get you the title shot. Song and dance.
Unreal, isn't it? It's absolutely unreal. Like, Ahara Davis is in there. And I genuinely, I hope Ahara Davis goes to town on this.
Looking forward to it. Buzzwords. Under the bus, robbery, done dirty, golden contract. Keywords you're going to hear in that talk. And I hope he gets it. Out of all the competitors, I think, what is he, number 5 or 6 in the WBA? He's the least at the pecking order, but he can have a presentation and turn it all around and actually get that title shot. So the shithousery in boxing is unmatched, and the WBA are the cornerstone of that, and I'm all for it.
The fact you've just said a good presentation could turn it all around for him and boost.
It's like coursework. It's like going to university. You might flunk your exams, but if you've got a good solid coursework, that's going to get you that passing mark, and that could get O'Hara over the line. And I'm hoping so.
You can make a comeback, Rakeem.
With all the digital expertise that I've got now and all the ideas that I've got, I could get into the top 10 of WBA tomorrow if I put together a good presentation.
You're a great public speaker, more articulate than most. more intelligent than most. You could put together a brilliant presentation. You could get the title shot. It could be unreal.
Next time the WBA open up their rankings for a vacant position, anyone want to throw a presentation in there? I'll throw my hat straight into that part of that bowl. Straight in.
Just, you know, when you read something, you think, I don't know how they've come up with that, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it all.
Every day in boxing, there's some, especially on Twitter, every day there's a new story, there's a new sequence of events which just make you think boxing. Let's just take us to another one real quickly. Friday night, the whole Josh Kelly scenario. Opponent didn't make weight, he didn't make weight.
You remember that?
Yeah. Every other day there's something new.
So Josh Kelly turns up at the venue to fight Julio Venosi, and Julio Venosi doesn't turn up at the venue to fight Josh Taylor. And then Kalle Sauerland comes on the Channel 5 broadcast later saying, well, Josh was just a few pounds overweight. And so we offered like a lot of money to solve the problem. And their team said no. And you're thinking, right, but why is he overweight? Like, this isn't Venosi's problem.
That wasn't the original story. The original story was that the away fighter, he missed weight, he didn't make weight, and he locked himself inside his room and he wouldn't come out. That was the original story. It's only come out a bit later on that, Josh Kelly was overweight, but they had a gentleman's agreement. But what the hell is a gentleman? What are gentlemen in boxing? What does it even mean when signing contracts? And it turned out Josh Kelly was overweight. So once again, boxing being boxing, you've got a guy on Channel 5 apologizing why he's not fighting instead of fighting someone, and it is what it is.
Stood in the ring with Steve Bunce in front of a pissed off O2 explaining why his fight's not going ahead. It's unreal, like absolute cowboy stuff. But the rest of that Channel 5 card was pretty good going, right? It was Harlem Eubank, outstanding win against Sean Dodd. Brad Pauls, Brad's a friend of mine. Didn't think he won the fight against Ryan Kelly. You know, I'd say it to Brad. I thought he was lucky to get that result. I don't think it was a wide decision the other way, but I scored it the other way to Ryan Kelly. But good for Brad.
It wasn't wide. It was very close. Yeah, if it went either way, I don't think there's much argument about it. But sometimes you're going to be a bit biased to the guy that you know or the guy that you've been following for. So good on Brad. Let's see what he does next. Maybe a fight or two before fighting for a British title. But he's on the right path, so let's see where that goes. Yeah,
definitely. Then we come on to the big one. Denzel Bentley against Lioness Udophia, which was just an outstanding fight. All the stuff we laugh about going on outside of the ring, WBA PowerPoint presentations, all of that. When it culminates and when it gets it right in the ring, boxing is an outstanding sport. And Denzel Bentley against Lioness Udophia, it had all that. You know, when a fight kind of flows in its motion, so Linus is on top early doors, Denzel comes back into it midway through the fight. By about 10, you're thinking Linus is out of this. I'm surprised he's still in this fight whatsoever. Comes back in 11, drops off in 12. What a fight! What a couple. Have you probably boxed on the same card as Linus before? I'm guessing.
Well, there's only been one fight which we fought on the same card for. And that was the 19th of March, 2016, because that's when I fought Sahil for the Southern area. That's when he made his debut. So for us, that's quite a big day for both of us.
And that was if anyone's never seen this, and I was thinking about this fight the other day, oddly enough, you versus Sahal Ahmed was one of the craziest fights I've ever seen. Like, just bodies going down everywhere. And how you got up from one of the knockdowns when Sahal put you down, to this day, I don't really understand. But you did, and then you went and wiped him out. Incredible. Anyone out there, go and find Rakeem Noble against Sahal Ahmed at York Hall. Ridiculous fight. But, as you say, same day that the Lioness Udophia made his debut at York Hall, goes on to fight for the British title Friday night. How did you have it?
Going at the end of the fight, yeah, it was another one like the Brad Pauls one. It was a close one. I thought Denzel may have just nicked it just due to the later on pressure that he put on, just from finishing strong. I think Lioness definitely won the earlier rounds, but I think he was the 6th or 7th. He got rocked. I think he almost took a knee. And since then, he didn't quite recover fully back to his normal self. And Denzel just kept the pressure on, just kept the clubbing shots on. And it might have just narrowed it down the stretch. But it was another one. If it went either way, I don't think too many would argue at it.
Yeah.
But I think Denzel maybe just scraped it, just scraped it. But Lioness will come again. He's still young. He's still hungry. He's in a great position with Wasserman. He's had the exposure. He's been a former English champion, pushed a former British champion to the edge. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him coming all over again.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I had it 6 rounds all. I've spoken with Lioness since, and he's all good. He's really actually very proud of his performance from Friday night, as he should be. Prove that he belongs at that level. I don't think personally there are that many middleweights, outside of, I think Felix Cash is a level above right now, but I think you've got Denzel, you've got Lioness. I think those two are the best in Britain that, rematch it, do it again. It was a brilliant fight. I think he had that probably better, slicker boxing ability of Lioness against that more awkward yet incredibly powerful technique of Denzel. What a fight. It was great fun. Great fun. Credit to both men.
Boxing. That's exactly what you need. I interviewed Kelly Sunderland after. I said the card had everything you pretty much would like it to have. It had competitive fights, you had 2 split decisions, you had an upset, you had a women's boxing fight on there, you had a legacy name in Eubank on there, knockouts, you had a bit of everything. So for the first terrestrial show, it was a good one. So I'm looking to see what the Channel 5 brand do to expand. Of course, next show's in Liverpool, June 17th, I believe, and that's going to be headlined by Nathan Gorman. So we'll see how the Wasserman cards.
Josh Kelly might be fighting on it.
If he makes weight, yeah, sure.
What did you make of the O2? You were there, weren't you? The O2 Indigo.
Oh, what did I make of the O2? Now, it sounds brilliant to fight at the O2. Everyone wants to fight at the O2. And I say for the O2 Indigo, that's as far as it goes. It sounds great to fight there, but for the spectators watching, to be in the crowd, it's not made for boxing. It's got a pretty awkward setup. If this was a concert or a musical or a performance of some sort, then yeah, great. But for boxing, the ring's like at the very back of the venue. If you're sitting in the stool seats at the back, you can barely see the other side of the ring. People who are ringside are literally looking up to the stage to see the ring. Like I said, it's nice to say you box at the O2, even if it is the O2 go, but for the viewers, it's probably not the best place to get a good viewing.
Yeah, I think I've been to some of the worst places to watch boxing in the south of the UK. Some of the worst. Yet the O2 Indigo trumps them all, in my view. If you pay for those kind of ringside seats, you're down at the front. And I was there for Joe Joyce and Lewison, Joe Joyce's debut. And I was down right at the front. And when you're at the front, all you can see is one ring post. You can't see 3/4 of the ring. You can see one ring post. As you move back slightly, you can see half the ring. Then if you stand at the back, you can kind of see over the top of a few heads into the ring. If you sit up on the balconies, you're looking down onto it. And that's probably the best view in the entire place. The cheapest seat.
I went to the balcony, and that's actually the best bird's eye view of the whole thing. You can see everything clearly and properly there.
Yeah.
Where I was sitting in the media section, you could see one corner of the ring, and there was like something blinding part of it. Like I said, it sounds good to fight at the O2 Indigo because it's the O2, but the actual practicality of it isn't so great.
Dreadful. And then I think what tops that off is that the TV broadcast of it is awful because you've got that ring on the stage. There's no crowd. There's no atmosphere around it. And so the sort of hard TV camera angle points down from where the balcony side of it is onto the ring. And then just around the ring, you've got a few kind of bored-looking board officials sat there.
It feels like the empty arenas during COVID. It feels like that.
It does, because you've got the black backdrop behind the board officials, and I use board in both senses. It's a terrible look. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I don't understand why any promoter is still using the O2 Indigo. So sort it out, get rid of it, bin it. It's a rubbish venue.
As I said, it's because it's the name O2, and O2 does sound more appealing than no disrespect to York Hall, it's a great venue, but O2 is always going to sound better than York Hall for a small semi-sized show.
I know, but imagine how good York Hall would have been for that main event on Friday night. That would have been
electric. That would have been a great atmosphere. You've got the 360 all around, fans all around, every angle, top and bottom. Would have been brilliant.
You packed 1,200 into there for that fight. That would have been sensational on TV, rather than, I say, what looked like it was just a black backdrop, a load of people in shirts and ties marking bits of paper that probably would rather be anywhere apart from they're getting a few £100 to be there for the evening. It was garbage. Like it did a disservice to what went on in the ring.
It did feel like looking on TV, I can imagine it felt like a COVID show where it was lockdown. There's no one there because that's all you can see in the background.
Yeah. Anyway, right, moving on. Saturday night, then, up in Manchester, Ultimate Boxxer tournament. Did you watch it?
No, because I was at the Dean White show in Tolworth. But I did hear about it. Ellis Soro from the Peacock Gym. He walked away with 3 unanimous decisions and got the £40,000, which is brilliant because I know he fought in a few Goodwin shows back in the day, didn't he?
He used to be managed by Steve Goodwin. Then he went off and he fought on a Frank Warren show in his last fight. And then he's gone and done this Boxxer show. And he's going to put the money towards speech therapy classes for his autistic daughter. Like that kind of story, beautiful. Like, good stuff, Ellis. And when you hear that afterwards, you're like, well, at least the right person's won this. Like, from a moral perspective, at least the right person's won it.
And now he's probably going to get a few fights on Sky. They've got a story to build him with. He's got a good record, undefeated, couple knockouts. Also, another thing just to highlight, he's part of the Peacock Gym. So Peacock this weekend had an amazing weekend. Friday night, Denzel Bentley becomes a 2-time British champion on Channel 5. Ellis Soro up in Manchester on Boxxer, Sky Sports, becomes the Ultimate Prize Fighter champion. And they also had a prospect at the Dean White show in Tolworth. Aaron Prosper went to be 5-0. So, 3 fights over the weekend, all 3 wins, 2 were championships. So, Peacock Gym seemed to be back in business. Nice.
I saw Nick Parker got a win down at that Tolworth show. First round knockout.
Yep, saw that. Another one that was fighting with Steve Goodwin's shows back in the day, during my day, I should say. Yep, first round knockout, first fight back in ages, and he's looking to hopefully move on to titles and get a few more big opportunities under his belt.
Yeah, trained now by Gary Logan, isn't he?
I'll be honest, I don't know who trains him now, but he seems to have a whole new team himself. He's not with Don Charles no more.
Yeah, pretty sure he's with Gary Logan, last I saw. But
he's got to do everything now. New team, new management. Yeah.
Good guys, Nick. Ultimate Boxxer as a tournament concept, does it work for you at the moment? Because it doesn't for me, I've got to be honest. And I don't know what it's lacking. Maybe what I like is when there's like 1 or 2 recognizable names in there, like one's on the way down, one's on the way up, and a couple in the middle. I think that's the perfect way of doing it, rather than the last couple. They did that one in Coventry, didn't they? And I didn't really know anybody on that apart from Ryland Charlton. Didn't really know anyone on this one apart from, I know Jamie Smith kind of personally, but Ellis Zorro. You want some of those legacy names, you want some of the prospects, and you want a couple that are kind of loitering. It doesn't work for me at the moment.
Do you know what I kind of found? I was speaking to someone about this quite a while ago. When Matchroom started doing Prize Fighter back in the day, that was one of their Stapleton products that they were having on. When it was a Prize Fight, everyone tuned in because that was their version of world title fights. I think the last one, I was actually on the last one as a reserve. It was in 2014 December, where John O'Carroll won. So for that one, that was the last one that they've done. And since then, Matchroom have been on an absolute roll with world title fights almost every other month in cities up and down the country. They're whacking out so many more opportunities for their fighters. Whereas before, Prize Fighter, they put some of the semi-top guys, some of the up-and-coming prospects in there. Everyone wanted to be on Prize Fighter to get that opportunity and get that name. Whereas now, where there's so many more opportunities elsewhere, fighters don't need to go on Prize Fighter, or fighters aren't going to risk going on Prize Fighter and risking it all. Yeah. They can be like, WBA International, WBC Intercontinental, WBO Europe. I can get some kind of glory through some other means. So, of course, boxers are a new stable. They're still building up their whole stable themselves. But for the direction that boxing's turned in, where we have access to so many world title fights on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday evening, so a lot of the domestic fighters, Prize Fighter just doesn't appeal as much because you can get a WBO Global. Like, I think it's Danny Diggum. He's fighting this weekend for the WBO Interim. Now, someone like, no disrespect Danny Diggum, but someone like Danny Diggum, about 10 years back, he would have gone on to Prize Fighter because that would have been ideal for him. He's getting places. He's not got that break yet, but that could put him over the line. Whereas now, Why are you going to fight a prize fight? You're going to get to fight for a WBO interim title. So, yeah, go for that. In America, why would you turn that down?
You're 100% correct. Like Dignam fighting in Vegas for a world title, which is only interim because Canelo holds a full version, doesn't he? Which ultimately he'll end up giving up, you'd suspect. But Dignam, whose best win is Grant Dennis.
Yep.
Like, no offense to Grant Dennis, but he is not the gatekeeper to a world title shot. Absolutely mad. It's a mad one. Good luck to Danny Dignam. I don't agree with it personally, but there we go. That's the beauty of WBO ranking belts, whereby you can. It used to be that you could just buy your way to a world title shot. You could just get a brown envelope and hand it to somebody, and then you would end up being kind of number two. Don't do that nowadays, do you? You just win WBO European title belts. I'm not saying that's the case here. I'm just saying that's how you might go about doing it.
Well, if you got a bit of money behind you and you got a bit of patience and time and a good relationship with the WBO, you could have about 10 fights, fight for a WBO European, maybe defend that 2 times, fight for the international, fight for the WBO Intercontinental, wait for some people to move out the way, wait for about them to come vacant, fight for the interim. And you've had a whole career of WBO just carefully matching yourself, getting yourself up there, and then boom, vacant belt, Canelo vacates, you're now a world champion. So, yeah, if you've got smart management and a bit of money behind you, more than doable.
Doesn't even need smart management, let's be honest, does it? It's just if you've got that bit of money behind you, if you can afford to pay the sanctioning fees for a few regional belts, you end up in the top 10, push up through the top 5 by defending it. It's absolute garbage. And I'm not having a go at Danny Dignam for that, by the way, at all. There are plenty in that same situation. And I can't blame them. I can blame the WBO or any other organisation for allowing it. But I can't blame the fighter.
No, you can't blame the fighter. You can't blame the fighter at all. But what I just find interesting about it is, for example, Anthony Yard is the WBO number 1. I like Anthony Yard. I'm not going to lie. I like Anthony Yard. I was rooting for him against Kovalev. But for Anthony Yard to be WBO number 1, well, we still can't name his best win other than Arthur. It's crazy. Also, as well, Archie Sharp. Super featherweight. Is it super featherweight? Super featherweight WBO number 1. So he's in the line for Shakur Stevenson, which I don't think he wants anything of Shakur Stevenson. But again, Archie Sharp's another one. I don't know how exactly he got to number 1, but he's there. And lastly, Zach Parker. I couldn't tell his best win, but he's number 1, and he's gonna fight. He was due to fight for an interim against Andrade, and he's pushing for a Canelo fight. So 3 guys, I'm not sure who their best win is, but they're number 1.
I can tell you Zach Parker's biggest loss, Daryl Williams. There we go. We'll say it.
I was just going to mention that he was at the show on Saturday.
What, Daryl?
Daryl, yeah, he was there.
Is he? He needs to make a comeback, man. I love Daryl Williams.
He ain't making a comeback. Ask him about that. I was saying to him, mate, every time I hear about Zach Parker, I remember you beat him soundly, they robbed you, you fell into the background, and he's now going on to fight Andrade for interim titles. Just
It's one of those sliding doors moments where the future could have been so different for both of them if they hadn't robbed Daryl Williams that horrible night in Glasgow, wasn't it? It was absolutely disgusting decision. And Daryl Williams would potentially, I'm not saying he would definitely, but he could find himself in that same position Zach Parker now does, which, there we go. Switch attention very quickly. Let's go over to America. Jarone Ennis, what do you make of him?
He's definitely a special talent. He's definitely a special kid. He's definitely very capable to do stuff into the future. He beat, I can't remember the dude's name, but I think he was about 19-0. Another prospect and up and coming. Handled him extremely easily. Knocked him out in the second round. Of course, he wants to push the world titles, but that's going to be held up with Crawford and Spence. But I can see once the fights, the belts are all unified, vacate, he should definitely be in line to be the first one for a world title.
It almost feels like there's no point trying to push him towards world titles. In that those at the top, your Crawford, your Spence, they probably don't want anything to do with him, really, like a young, hungry southpaw who seems to have everything. And so let them deal with each other and then move on for their legacy, get out of the way, let Jarone Ennis come through. Let him fight Conor Benn. I don't know. Like, Conor Benn would have a very difficult night there. I don't care what any Matchroom fan might tell me. That is not a fight Conor Benn needs in the next 5 years.
As much as I would love to see that fight, I can never see Eddie Hearn talking that fight or even mentioning Jarone Ennis' name for a fight with Conor Benn. No. We're not going to see that until they both have world titles and there's both a very healthy amount of money secured in the bank for both fighters. That's not happening anytime soon.
And let's be honest, in 5 years' time, if they are both steered carefully and correctly, that is a huge fight. Like, I don't necessarily mean that Jarone Ennis has to be steered carefully and correctly, but if you can steer Conor to the point where he has a world title, makes a few defenses, and then you make that as a big unification, like that could do ridiculous numbers in the future.
Yeah, I can see that. You've got the leading hope of America, the leading hope of the United Kingdom. You put them together, that's a big fight. There's 2 world titles. They've both been projected for big things, and they're both living up to it. Yeah, that's something that they're not going to use anytime shortly for now.
That'd be great. Jamel Charlo becomes undisputed at 154 against Brian Castano. Rematch, knocks him out in 10 rounds. I love the Charlo brothers. I just think they've got that energy about them that, like, you kind of feel like anything could happen at any moment with both of them. Before the fight, during the fight, after the fight. I'm a big fan.
I like the Charlo. No, overall, I like the Charlo brothers. The young one, Mel, I would say is the better, more proven fighter. He unified, undisputed his whole division, lost to Tony Harrison, came back, 154 undisputed. Miles Charlo, the older one, he's a bit more, I won't say he's proven just yet. He's one which I'm still waiting to have a big fight. Can't pick out the most credible name on his reservoir just yet, but yeah, the little brother, he's doing great, and I think that was a great performance. Having a draw and coming back, having a conclusive knockout win, joining the exclusive club of becoming undisputed, and you've got the likes of Tim Tszyu, Fondora, even another Tony Harrison fight.
Yeah,
he's at the point that Crawford and Spence are going to be at with Jarone Ennis. You've done all the hard work. You've done all the groundwork. You don't want anything to do with these guys who are on the up and coming, who are going to give you incredibly hard fights. And if you beat them, you're not going to get no reward for it. You're not going to get the recognition. Jump up to 160, call out Golovkin. You deserve your money fight now. You deserve the big shot. Because what else is there for you now at 154?
But then his brother's not achieved any of that at 160, has he? He's not been able to get hold of those big fights.
Well, his brother's not done anything to deserve a big fight. His brother's there's Andrade, there's Benavidez, there's all these other guys in the division, and none of them want to fight each other.
Yeah.
Now Charlo, young Charlo, he's got it done. He's beating the guys. So if he's going to start calling out Golovkin, he's fully entitled to it. He deserves a Golovkin fight. And if Crawford is to beat Spence and move up to 154, that's another fight I would say he deserves.
And a shout out to PBC as well for making that fight available on their YouTube channel, like immediately afterwards. So I didn't have to stay up, but you got up Sunday morning, watched it on their YouTube channel. Outstanding. Thank you, PBC. Thank you, Al Heyman. I'll join that club of people that give you a shout out. Final one before we wrap it up, and I'll leave you to go and watch Arsenal lose to Newcastle, hopefully. What score we at?
0-0. 30 minutes in.
Good. This weekend, massive all-London fight. Craig Richards, Joshua Buatsi at the O2, the O2 where you can see, which is quite handy. Are you there?
Yes, I will be there.
Of course you're there. You get where water can't get nowadays, Rakeem.
I'm everywhere.
So, I mean, who do you fancy for it? Let's start there.
There's always the if, buts, and maybes of boxing. So, of course, Buatsi, from when he turned over, we knew he was special. He's an Olympic medalist, had an outstanding resume as an amateur, done it all. But as a pro, he's just not had that standout fight or that standout performance, which just makes us say, yeah, he's the full package, he's the goods. Craig Richards, on the other hand, he was similar to me. He was an all right amateur, didn't win anything greatly notable, but as a pro, he's shown what he's done, he can do. Controversially, you're going to say he gave Bivol a harder fight than Canelo. He's been the underdog. He's caused upsets. He's taken fighters out that he wasn't meant to take out. So he's deserved to be in the position that he's at. It's an old case of the guy who's earned his place and the guy that was given the place because they're expected to be there. If Buatsi doesn't show up on the night, Craig Richards is going to beat him to the punch and he's going to he's going to walk away with it. But if Buatsi is as good as we all believe him to be, and if he taps into that and fully exploits that, I think it will be Buatsi's night. I know both guys. I'm very centre-forward in the middle.
This is why I was nervous of asking you how it goes. I thought you might sit on the fence.
Sorry, mate. Sorry. But it's a, like I said, it's a really good matchup. It's a really good fight. Two fighters who are at similar points in their career, but they've got there through many different ways. And we'll just see on the night who's really become the better pro since turning over.
I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to be bold about this. I think Craig Richards stops him. I think Craig Richards will stop Buatsi. I just think they've done a very good job of matching Buatsi carefully and developing his career, as you should do, because you don't want to chuck him in the deep end at light heavyweight. He's struggled last couple of fights. Bolotnik stands out as somebody that, let's face it, Bolotnik isn't a world beater, and Buatsi kind of struggled with. His career's been very stop-start. And I just wonder, if there's a little bit of protection around him, a little bit too much cotton wool, whereas Craig is the absolute polar opposite of that. Craig has got no cotton wool. He's been match hard. You go back to the Alan Higgins fight, you go back all the way through his career. He's had it tough throughout. Even in his training camp, he's had Peter Sims there. Like, he's not the favoured one. He's not in that Tony Sims area of the camp. He's in that Peter Sims area of the camp. I think we all know as boxing fans what that means in terms of how well or what regard they're held in. And yet, he's done everything asked of him. I go back to that Buglioni fight. He took that at like 48 hours notice. He stepped up a weight division to go and fight Buglioni at Wembley. He lasted the 12 rounds with Frank. The Bivol fight, he lasted the 12 rounds. The Shakan Pitters fight, he went into the away corner for that fight. Matchroom just went, now off you go. Went in the away corner, stopped Shakan Pitters, who nobody really wanted to fight at the time. He's done everything the hardest possible way because nobody, although he's signed to that big promoter, he's never had that backing that he possibly and probably deserves. And for that reason, I just think that grit is going to get him through.
I spoke to Craig about this. I've known Craig since we went to school not too far from each other. So I've known him since secondary school days. And one of the conversations we had about his career when I interviewed him, he was saying when he signed to Matchroom, he was definitely one of the guys to fill up the numbers. He was definitely one of the guys that was just there that last minute, someone dropped out. Craig, you want to fight? Yeah, come through to the show. They need to fill up a card in London. Craig's about. We'll let him know a couple of days before the fight. Craig, come up. A fight's got to be pulled off because of TV restriction times. Sorry, Craig, you can't fight. He kind of has just hung around long enough to make the most of those opportunities. And now that he's been making the most of those opportunities, it's like, we can't just throw him away. We've got to now do something with him. We've got to give him an opportunity. We've got to give him a break. So he's definitely worked. He's definitely had a lot of hard times with fights being cancelled, fights being pulled off, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm glad he's getting his due now. I'm glad he's getting the respect that he's had to work so hard before. And it's all coming to light for him. So
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree. It almost feels like he's constantly been set up to fail and he's refused to fail. And that's why he's still there in the mix. And so for that reason, I just think that grit, when it starts getting tough and hard, I just think, I've never seen him hurt, ever, against world level guys all the way down through the levels. Not wobbled, not damaged, not anything. If Buatsi does that, he's special, and that's cool. We can live with that. But I just think he will make life so difficult. And he's been in difficult fights and difficult moments, and he's learned. I don't think Buatsi has. I think he's been too softly matched. And I think Craig will prove that he's been underestimated for so long. I feel I could look an absolute mug next time I speak to you about this, Rakeem, but that's where I'm going with
it. I wouldn't write that off one either. Like I said, Craig, time and time again, upset, gone against the odds, got the job done, and
it's exactly that.
I'm not going to write that off at all.
It's exactly that. Right. Enjoy the rest of Arsenal Newcastle. I'll hope for a maximum hat trick in the second half. Rakeem, thank you for joining us. Enjoy the O2.
I will do. Thank you very much. I look forward to it.
Thank you for joining us, man.
All London Thriller. Yep.
It'll be outstanding. Appreciate it, man. You take care.
Thanks. Take care.
Ta.